Hello everyone, welcome to LexTalk, World's talk show presented by ClickUp Creators. Today we have Ms. Foram Gala with us. Foram is a first generation lawyer and holds an expertise in a lot of things, but I'll start from family and relationship counseling. She also advises clients and is known for resolving complex matters of family settlements, which are, I guess, the most complex one, such as wills, trust, estates, and so on and so forth. Besides her professional practice, she is adding a lot of value to the society by giving it back as an advocate on. She's empaneled as an advocate on Nyay Bandhu. Uh, for people who don't know about Nyay Bandhu, it's an initiative by the government of India for providing pro bono legal assistance to the marginalized and underprivileged, population of India. So we have a lot to talk about, Forum. So, but without further ado, let's welcome her for the session. Hi, Forum. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you, Sagar?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. And I'm even doing even greater. I feel very nice to have this discussion with you. I've been through your profile. This has been a great, as I said before the session. Kudos to you for your effort, for your contribution, for your value addition to the society.
Thank you so much.
So that is all mine. And again, thank you very much for giving us some time out of your busy schedule for the day. I'll just start with the understanding. I tried my level best to cover things about you, but now the baton is in your hand. If you can tell us about your journey for the law, how it started, why do you think of going ahead with legal fraternity?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I'm a co-founder of FNS Law Chambers. It's a first-generation law firm based in Navi Mumbai. Yeah. Talking about my journey in law, I started with pursuing my bachelor's in legal science and bachelor's in law from the Government Law College, Mumbai, followed by pursuing my master's in law from Jindal Global Law School, that's in Delhi. In the meanwhile, I have also pursued my commercial training, civil commercial mediation training. That is from the ADR ODR International, United Kingdom. And I'm also a certified forensic graphologist, certified by International Institute of Forensic Sciences, Pune. So this is my brief background. And then I worked with a couple of law firms and I'm here now, co-founder of FNS Law Chambers.
Yeah. I mean, you're a very young lawyer. I mean, and a first generation lawyer too at the same time. That's like cherry on the cake.
Thank you.
What was your why? That why towards starting up your own law firm. That's even greater. Young first generation lawyer and having your own law firm. And what are the challenges you face while on this journey?
So, being a first generation lawyer, of course, there are many challenges. But for your first question, my why, that's an amazing question. My main driver towards starting up my own law firm was basically fulfillment and contentment. I wanted to always live a life filled with purpose. So this is one thing. Number one is the legal profession. And number two is starting my own firm. It gives me a sense of fulfillment, which was my major why and my major reason behind starting up my own law firm. To get back to the challenges, oh my God, first generation lawyer and a lot of challenges. To start with, like a startup is very demanding. Like it's like a small baby, you grow it, you nurture it, and it is so needy, it is so demanding. So in being a legal entrepreneur, it's just not restricted to legal research or legal drafting or just appearing in courts. These are skill sets that are required for a lawyer. Whereas for an entrepreneur, challenges, I would say, multiple skills are required when it comes to starting up your own law firm, right? It's just not limited to law, like I said, but it's also time management, maintaining client relationships, maintaining and managing your finances, public relations, and so much more. So of course, there's an amalgamation of a lot of skills. Now here comes the thing of hiring the required skill set that you need in order to run a law firm, which is again so diverse, right? And the main challenge over here of hiring professional expertise or legal expertise or any other kind of for accounts and finances is Financial challenges. So when you talk about external challenges, it's like, of course, the legal commitments and the timelines, etc. Then hiring the right professional skill set for the same. Financial challenges. So these are the external part. Now talking about the internal challenges, which you have to fight and deal with in your head daily. That is another ball game again, right? Discipline. It doesn't come to me easily, but you have to work with it through time. It's consistency, doing the same thing day in and day out every day, which is again another challenge. So yeah, it comes with a lot of challenges, but I think the one, like we spoke before, the one why that drives me is fulfillment, which keeps me going day in and day out.
I mean, if I talk about an entrepreneur who's starting a tech business, that's a different scenario. But being an entrepreneur, starting your own law firm is a different scenario, and having no one in your family to sort of, guide you through it. That's what I believe first generation lawyer actually means. What's your inspiration? And okay, I have another question about the family as well, but what's your inspiration? That's my first one.
Inspiration, oh my God. I think I myself am an inspiration, like I generally thank myself day in and day out for doing things that I'm doing, for believing in myself, for working on days off, for kind of showing up when I don't feel like showing up. So at the moment, I'm crediting myself enough for doing what I'm doing. And also I'm a biggest critique, which is like, I have to be my own northern star. So I think that inspiration comes from within more than the external forces. And that keeps you driving all the time rather than an external inspiration coming from somewhere. It's the gratitude you give to yourself day in and day out for showing up every day and doing it day in and day out. Yeah. So I think at the moment, I'm my biggest inspiration.
I mean, your energy says it all. My next question, follow-up question was, I'm not sure how the family things work when you're a first generation lawyer, but was there any setback from, from your parents, from your brothers, or from anyone, regarding why you're doing this? And I mean, what happened back then?
No, in fact, I would say, and I must say that I'm grateful to have a very supportive family. No setback, no challenges, no hindrances. And in fact, in an Indian society, the fabric of Indian society is such that when it comes to women and it comes to the legal profession, it doesn't go really well. There are so many taboos and stigmas associated. Oh my God, she's a woman. Oh my God, she's a lady. Oh my God, she's in the legal profession. It's not very welcoming yet. But when I come to my family, when I have to talk about that, I've been absolutely blessed. No challenges, no conflicts, no hindrances from that side, including my relatives and friends. And I'm blessed in that field. Yeah.
I mean, that's good to hear. Okay, coming back to being a lawyer. I mean, and when there's no one around you to guide you through in this journey of you setting up your own law firm, what according to you, based on your own expertise and your experience and your journey that you have seen, should be a key or are the key skill sets of a lawyer, of a good lawyer, and of course, what should they possess for thriving in the legal profession?
So now there are two things here: skills required for a lawyer, as a lawyer, and then there are different skills required for an entrepreneur who started up his legal practice, right? So when it comes to a lawyer, the three main important skills that I think every lawyer should have is, number one, listening. Listening to your client, not with an intention to reply, but with an intention to understand what he's trying to tell, the facts of the case, what the client needs, the client's priorities, the expected outputs that he's expecting from a lawyer, so to say. So one is listening and then comprehending everything as to what the client wants. And then re-expression of all of that in your drafting, because it always starts with drafting, communication. So you have to kind of re-express everything. Your output is like on a paper, right? So you need to have these three skills, which are very important for every lawyer to thrive in this legal profession, right? So one is listening, one is understanding and comprehending as to what the client is saying, and then re-expression of all of that in paper before the court, before the judge, arguments, plots, etc. That is the skill set required for a lawyer. When it comes to skill set required from an entrepreneur, I would say discipline, number one, of course, everyone needs that, not just a lawyer, but I think every entrepreneur needs the skill set of discipline, or if you want to say consistency, like you have to keep doing one thing day in and day out. There are no days off, weekends you have to spend on not legal things, but time management and client relations and finances, etc. So these are the basic skill sets that an entrepreneur who's in the legal field requires. Yeah, I think that's about it for now. And of course, it comes with a lot of more skill sets required, which every entrepreneur has.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot more skill sets which are not just coming here in the session. But yes, I mean, as I said, as far as you know and your expertise goes, so great. Thank you very much. We will also, of course, talk about your pro bono contribution to the industry. Of course, Nyay Bandhu will also try to understand about that and you being there. But before that, we always try to understand a challenging case that a lawyer had. And generally, it's different for every lawyer.
Sure.
So same question goes for you. I mean, what are the most complex cases that you have dealt with? And if you can also answer how you really approached it, that would be also great.
Okay, sure. So in the legal profession, if you go to see, every case has its own challenges, has its own complexities. No case is easy. But now if you're asking me one of the most challenging cases, we've gone through one recent case which involved a white collar crime. It was a case of forgery, right? Which involved the will, the codicil, family settlements, etc. Now, when the client approaches, I've not got my share of this, that, and when you're perusing the will, the codicil, multiple other documents of the deceased people, you need an eye for detail when it comes to such disputes, right? So that was the time when I and my team kind of had this eye for the signature not matching, right? The signature with the will, the codicil, other documents of the deceased persons not matching. And there were multiple documents, like there was so much permutation, combination involved because a will is huge, a codicil like so much, all of that. And we realized that, and me being a forensic handwriting expert and into documentation, we realized that the signatures were not matching. So we started with forensic reports, right? So that's where the domain of forensics came into place, where we kind of got through a number of permutations and combinations with respect to pages, which is matching, which is not matching, which signature is genuine, which is altered, which document is altered. So we got around 10 to 12 forensic reports for every page, which was a challenge in itself, right? Because convincing the client, telling them that, yeah, this is kind of a suspicion that has been found like that, which took us about a month, because forensics is a huge procedure. It's not easy. So number one was detecting, what kind of forgery has been done, who's done it, etc. Followed by when everything was established, and we were lucky enough and we had this eye for detail and we were articulate enough to be successful and also kind of our suspicions got right. So over there, the forensic reports were in our favor. Everything was forged, right? Now then came the part of drafting, which was the second part over here, which always starts with legal drafting. So generally what we do is, before going to legal drafting, we always try to mediate a matter, before litigation, before these rounds of courts begin, we try and tell the parties to mediate the matter, which didn't happen. We tried 3 to 4 this thing, and then we got into the part of legal notice. Now the drafting was so tough, was so challenging. We drafted that matter for around 30 days, day in and day out. It was like a 50-page legal notice, right? Now our intention behind that legal notice was such that number one, it has to be watertight. It has to be so watertight that our main aim of parties coming to a settlement is fulfilled, right? Because we don't want people to go around courts, especially when there are family matters and relatives involved. So that was one. So this was a huge enduring process of legal drafting, after which everything kind of proceeded. Again, this was second step, and we were successful in that as well. Both the parties agreed for a settlement, because when you know that your notice is so watertight, there's no way out. Like, there's literally no way out. So we then got the parties to a settlement over there, and it took around 3 to 4 mediation sessions with the family. Now, families, Indian families are huge. Like, there are so many people involved. The complexities over there are different, and the skill set that you require over there is different. So we managed to kind of mediate the entire matter, resolve it, set the parties free by kind of closing the matter and giving what each party deserves, etc. So this was again a very challenging part. Over here, it was one of the toughest cases which we've ever dealt, which lasted for around 3 months, which is very short, because our main aim was mediation. Now here, why was it challenging? Number one, because it was, of course, an Indian family dispute matter. So many people involved, so many emotions invested, families breaking apart. And over here, I would like to highlight the main things that we focused on. And our approach over here was, number one, mediate. Like, I always am pro mediating. Don't go to courts and don't waste the time of the courts and lawyers and clients, and so much money is run down the drain. Mediate the matter. So this was kind of a very challenging case, very successful. And of course, there are so many other cases which we come across in our daily life, especially matrimonial matters of custody where children are involved, guardianship, domestic violence, which are very, 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 very tough, which involve, like the skill set that a lawyer requires while approaching these cases, matrimonial especially, are empathy, because so many emotions involved, and understand the psyche of the clients and the family in general, and then being so creatively trying to find solutions to the problem, that there's flexibility in approach, and we can approach the case as easily and as kind of fairly as possible. So yeah, this is one of the most challenging cases so far.
I mean, my follow-up question was, why are you saying that mediation, not litigation? And you actually technically answered it, so I will not just ask that question. You all already acknowledged that. But great. I mean, and I would also, for our viewers, we will of course do another session with Forum, and we'll dwell down to how these cases matters work, what happens to the custody, and if the custody is not with mother or father, what happens to the kid. We'll dwell down to all of this because there's something of our interest, especially when things like series are coming along. So of course would love to understand the reality around it, not the real part of it, but the real part of it. But to proceed further in this session, Forum, you are a lawyer of my generation, of our generation, and our generation is all about technology, and legal tech has evolved in various part of globe, states, Europe, and it's now coming. The boom is still coming in India, especially after COVID. Ironically, it brought a lot of good things, not disruptions.
Surely.
How do you make use of technology in your day-to-day work life? And of course, what are the three major most used websites or tools or anything, platforms that you use in your research or in your practice?
Coming to your first question, how I use technology in my day-to-day affairs in the legal profession. I'll give you one example. I'll give you 3 examples, in fact. Number one is Sama. So I am a neutral and a mediator on the platform Sama, which is an online dispute resolution initiative by some of the private industry holders, right? So through the pandemic, during those few months of COVID, there were a lot of cases that, which are in the pre-trial stage, which are in some stage of litigation, that was shifted to the portal of Sama, right? So we, along with one of my seniors, had resolved around more than 200 cases online with the parties, with the judge, trying our best to mediate the matter. Yeah, and these were not in urban cities. These clients and these people were placed in the remotest villages of Rajasthan and Gujarat, right? And this is how Sama also has an app of its own, where we kind of, as a coordinator, we coordinate with them, We get the parties on board. When the parties and the lawyers are ready, we get the judges on board and we mediate the matter. So this was one very good example which we used through the lockdown, the Sama portal, right? This was an online space for resolution. Number two, even Nyaya Bandhu, which you already asked me before, it's like a Government of India initiative, yeah, where me and my team generally take up at least one pro bono case every month. Yeah, so even Nyaya Bandhu has a mobile application where it is so convenient. Number one, it serves two purposes, right? Number one is access to justice to people from all the society, especially to the underprivileged and those who cannot afford the legal aid, right? So one is that it's a pro bono initiative. Number two, the use of technology. The app is so effective, it's so efficient. Name of the parties, a gist of the case, documents which are uploaded online, intimation to the lawyers and the clients about the next dates, about the status of the case. Very well done. So this is how, again, technology is incorporated in the legal system and we make use of it, right? Number three, in my day-to-day affairs, like the basic, the normal, the routine cases, I use this application. It's a third-party application called as Libra, right? So with respect to every case that we have every day in different courts, whether it is Thane, Belapur, Panvel, High Court, Bandra, etc., we feed in details of every case, like the name of the parties, the date of the hearing, the jurisdictions, etc., and the case number, right? So now Libra is again like an application, a mobile application where the parties are intimated of their next dates of hearing, the status of the case. 3 days before the hearing, everyone gets a reminder. Me as a lawyer gets a reminder with respect to the case. If there is any adjournment of any hearing, there is a hearing getting cancelled, that intimation also comes. So you imagine how much time is saved of the clients and the lawyers. So this is again one application. Again, documents uploaded online, orders uploaded online. So it's so convenient for the lawyers, for the judges, for the clients. So these are the three apps that I use. Like this is the technology that lawyers have been using and I have been using in my day-to-day affairs, right? Now with respect to your second question, websites, live law is my Bible. I love live law. It kind of keeps me abreast with the latest developments in law, the latest Supreme Court judgments, the latest High Court judgments. And I also use apart from these applications, Supreme Court cases, Manu Patra, which are the standard ones, which keep you kind of updated, help you in your research, help you with your drafting. Yeah, I think that should suffice your question.
I mean, beautifully answered, and a lot of things that I've never heard of. I mean, especially as you said, Nyaya Bandhu. Honestly, I'll not lie, I've never heard of it. Especially the applications, the way it is operating, the way you explained, that's been a beautiful one. I would also love to understand, dwell down to the pro bono ones. What kind of pro bono cases do you really handle, or do you see what are the things that are there?
Cases, all kinds of cases, yeah. Disputes between employers and employees, disputes between landlord and tenants, dispute between owners and employees, like the business owners and their clients and their staff. 138 matters, matrimonial disputes, family disputes, everything, wide range of cases. So, in fact, Nyaya Bandhu assigns every lawyer, anyone who's empaneled now, it's a Government of India initiative. Anyone who's empaneled is assigned a certain number of cases, So that's how it
Okay, so
works.
that's by default the lawyers are assigned the cases, is it? Or do you
Yeah,
have to
everyone
choose?
was
You can.
empaneled on the platform. You need to be
Okay.
empaneled and you need to also show your willingness to be kind of giving back to the society. And once you cross that procedure, then you kind of get assigned cases. Every firm, every lawyer gets assigned cases.
I mean, that's really beautiful. Just wanted to understand from my understanding. You see, I am in the middle of lawyers, so I should know all these things as
Okay.
well. And who better than someone who's actually practicing this? All right, okay. So now moving apart from the practice, let's talk about something that's everywhere. Stress and managing work, save time, life balance. Uh, time is money. All these keywords we all have heard around. All right. So, but it always comes down to how do you manage your work? How do you handle the stress, and how do you ensure that what's happening in the office stays in the office? It doesn't follow you, back to your place.
I know that's a very difficult question and a very good question at the same time. The first question, how do you balance work with life in general? I think I take it one day at a time and one case at a time. Like I prefer giving my 100% to what I'm doing in the now. I try to see it's not something that happens overnight and it's easier said than done again. So my mindset generally is how let's take it one day at a time. Let's plan for the tomorrow, but let's give our best to what we are doing today. That helps me keep the calm. Like I told you, it's easier said than done. So it's like, you have to practice this. It's an art which needs practice day in and day out. Because when you're doing one thing, oh my God, I have so much. And then getting back this monkey mind to doing what you have to and what you're doing. So staying in the now and being present, and this is good philosophy, but you have to keep practicing. And that's how I maintain the calm. That's one. Time, how do I balance out my time? And time is money. You said something about that. I'll tell you one instance when it comes to time is money, right? Like what happened, there were a few cases I was associated with those cases in the courts of Navi Mumbai, wherein there were these very interesting things that I came across. Number one, the judge respecting the client's time in what way? I'll tell you. There was this case, we had to appear, and for the next date, the judge, you won't believe what they did. Okay, your next date is 12th September 2022. I want both the parties to appear at 11:30 a.m. for arguments. When you know that the judge is being so mindful of the time of the clients and the lawyers, you ought to do that. That's how you respect the profession, right? And that's what and in fact, I was very encouraged after that. And this has happened multiple times over the last 1 year. The judge kind of gives you a timeline. I want you all to be present at this time. The hearing is going to be at this time. So the judiciary, like the courts are evolving with time, and so do the lawyers, and so do the clients now understand. And everyone's busy, of course. So it's a quid pro quo like thing. Like you have to respect the client's time. The client has to respect your time. So one is a very good example which I came across recently. And I think I've answered your question.
Yes, you certainly did. I was just also wanted to understand, how do you ensure that it doesn't follow you up back to your place?
Yeah,
You see, it's always in your head. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I work around lawyers, but still things are in my head. But how do you make sure that it doesn't go that way?
Yeah, that's a difficult thing to do. But always try to kind of, like I told you, get completely involved with the case. You give your 100% to the case. And it's very difficult to kind of, not have that case in your mind after the hearings, after the meetings, etc. So what I try to do is I get 100% involved with the case, but I try not to identify myself with the case, right? So you cannot get attached to the clients, you cannot get attached to the cases you're doing, you cannot identify yourself. So there's this boundary that needs to be maintained, which is again like an art. It needs to be practiced day in and day out so that it doesn't hamper your mental and emotional health, which is very important these days. The amount of work that goes in while working, while in being in the courts and around the profession. This is the one way I think maintaining your emotional and keeping your mental health in check can help, kind of getting involved but not getting attached and identified with the case. You have to leave it at the door. Okay, it's done. Now we proceed for the next, like that. So that is one way where I kind of try to maintain the balance.
Yeah, you said it is difficult and it needs a lot of practice. So very well said. Thank you very much. And this has been a lovely session. And I understand we are short on time. I have a lot more things to ask you, but let's summarize. As I said, I promise to our viewers we will definitely have Forum very soon for another session, like sort of a part 2 for this, and dwell down to better understanding of what's going on. But before we allow you to leave us, what is the advice that you would like to give to the first generation lawyers out there, or to the legal entrepreneurs out
there? Advice, I think number one, push away the noise. Don't listen to people. You should do this, you should do that, you're good for this, you should not do that. Follow your heart. I think if you're passionate about something, just listen to your gut, listen to your heart, and follow it. Number one is that. Number two, patience. Yeah, I think in the legal profession, you need so much patience. Like, this is a world of like we having instant gratification. We want this, okay, let's order this. We want this, okay, let's kind of do this. Like in this world of instant gratification, we are used to having things that are doorstep like this. So I think the legal profession requires a lot of patience. A case is not going to like happen just like that, or you're not going to finish a case just like that. It's going to take 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Maybe it will pass down generations. You don't know it, right? So I think number one, like I told you, follow your heart. And number two, patience, which is the key for any legal professional.
I mean, very well said, Foram. Thank you very much for this. Where can, I mean, as I said, we were short on time, but our viewers, of course, would love to understand more about you and connect with you. Where can they find you, and your fellow peers, fellow lawyers can find you?
Where can they
I mean,
find
where
you?
can they find you? Where can they find you? Are you available on more social media like Insta or just the professional one, LinkedIn?
I'm very available and active on LinkedIn. Yeah. I'm also very active on Instagram, not very active on Facebook. So I think LinkedIn is a good platform to kind of connect with the peers and co-colleagues and the co-lawyers in the legal profession. That's a good platform. I'm quite active on that.
I believe you're going to get a lot of connection requests after this session. Let's hope for that. And thank you very much. Let me formally thank you. So thank you so much for sharing such great insights, not just about yourself, not just about your practice or your firm, but about the legal industry from your lenses. It has been a great session. And we, of course, as I said, look forward to having a chat with you again in the future on some other trending topics in the international legal industry. Thank you very much for this.
So
Was
much.
highly
Thank you
appreciated.
so much, Sagar. Yes.
Yeah. And for our viewers, if you like this chat, which I'm sure that you did, I want you to like this video, share this video, and click on that red button to subscribe to Click Away Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do. And you have more coming in from industry leaders like Ms. Foram Gala. This was Sagar for LexTalk World signing off.